Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Rockman Power Hour. My name is Jason Rockman, and this is a podcast where we talk to the most interesting people in the world of pop culture. And this week on the show, we've got the lead singer of a band that is absolutely popping right now called Dirty Honey. His name is Marc Labelle, and he's going to join us right here on the Rockman Power Hour. But before we get too far ahead, I want to welcome my co-host, Ryan Stick, to the show. What's going on, my friend? How are you?
I'm doing good, man. How the heck are you?
I'm doing great. I'm in the best mood today, man, because I'm excited about this week's episode. I mean, Marc Labelle is one of those guys that is just a incredible rock and roll singer. He's a rare breed right now, although we've had quite a few on this show. This is going to be a good one. But before we go too far, I want to thank our title sponsor, who we always love having on board with us, Heartbeat Hot Sauce. Check it out. This one is really interesting. This is Poirier's Louisiana style KO edition. And this is the sauce that they do in conjunction with Dustin Poirier. And of course, Dustin Poirier, one of the most popular fighters in the UFC right now. He just actually booked a fight with Chandler, and this is going to be happening in New York City in the month of November.
Dude, this is the one I'm holding.
Oh no! Well, no, that's the other one.
Yeah,
that's the.
Okay.
So no, but those are the
almost hot sauce twins.
Right. Well, that's it. So this is the KO edition, and that is the one that's I believe that's a little milder. What's the meter on the back of yours?
I don't know. My eyes are terrible, and the lighting is worse in here. I'll tell you in a second, Jason. It is much. I'm going to tell you that the hot sauce.
All right. Well, this comes
meter
on,
is much.
This is hot on the meter, so this is a really hot one. And anyways, if you like hot sauce, Heartbeat Hot Sauce are one of the best to do it. And if you go below my promo code right here, Rockman20, that'll get you 20% off your entire order of Heartbeat Hot Sauce. Also, a big thanks to Studio House Designs. They are our clothing sponsor. Look at us, Ryan. We have a podcast and we have a clothing sponsor. We got hot sauce. We're what they refer to in the hip hop world as ballers. And I love Heartbeat Hot Sauce. I love Studio House Designs. They're great. So go check them out at studiohousedesigns.com. You're rocking the Fire in the Sky shirt, which is a really, really cool movie. And this is The Ring. So there you go. So thank you, Studio House. So Ryan, I have not shaved. I had a crazy week and weekend. We're preparing for a lot of stuff that we do, like Comic-Cons and stuff. So fall gets really, really busy for us. But we've got a lot of really rad stuff coming for the podcast. But I do want to talk really briefly about a music festival that I went to this past weekend called FME. It's the Festival Musique Emergence, an emerging music festival that takes place in Rouyn-Noranda, which is about 8 hours north of Montreal in northern Quebec. It's an absolutely incredible festival, and I'm going to book a bunch of the acts that I saw at the festival, and we're going to do an entire episode on FME because this festival needs to have some attention brought to it because it is one of the coolest festivals you'll ever go to when it comes to a music festival. And the fact that it's a location festival, the fact that it takes over the entire town for a weekend, it's just a great, great place. And it's a great festival. So we're definitely going to talk to some of those artists that I got to see over the weekend. But right now we're going to talk to Marc Labelle from the band Dirty Honey. Did you get a chance to listen to some Dirty Honey?
Oh, yes, I did, Jason. Hell of a band, hell of a singer.
Yeah.
And hell of an interview, I should say. I think people are going to really like this one because although he's successful and although his band is, he's getting up there, he's also a fan like us.
Yeah.
And he's almost like getting to live this life that I always wanted to live when I was squeezing myself into leather pants when I was in my 20s and putting on eyeliner.
Yeah. Well, I never understood how bands don't give up. It's such a hard road. And when you talk to Marc, you can tell that he's got this confidence. He just exudes it. And, he's one of these rare guys that can sing. He can play guitar like a motherfucker, and he can write songs. So he's like the trifecta. He's like he's like the triple threat. And I think people are going to really enjoy this conversation. So without any further ado, check out our conversation with Marc Labelle from the band Dirty Honey. Now I see you.
Nice.
How's it going, buddy?
Unfortunately.
No, hey, listen. I mean,
right?
Dude, if I look that good, yeah, I wouldn't be doing this. So what's going on? You doing good?
Yeah, home for the rare couple weeks here, and then dude, getting back to it.
You're back in LA?
Yeah, back in LA. Got back on Sunday. I'm actually leaving again today to go to the mountains in Montana for the weekend.
That's nice.
Gonna catch the Black Crowes show.
Oh,
Gonna do some
sweet.
motorcycling. So yeah, I'm excited.
How cool is it that the Black Crowes are back together? That those guys squashed that beef and they're doing it. I mean, I
It
remember
was
I remember hearing the announcement on Howard Stern in
Yep.
November of 2019. I remember specifically because my 16-year-old, who's 18 now, we were driving to New York City to go see Billy Joel. It was his dream to see Billy Joel.
Oh man, me too. I haven't seen him yet.
He's amazing. And he does I don't know if he's doing it now, but he was doing a show every month at Madison Square Garden.
Yep.
So we were going there for his 16th birthday, and the car that we rented had Sirius. So we got to listen to Stern, which was great. And
Nice.
it was the morning that the Black Crowes came on to announce that they were back together. And I remember I was telling my son, we are going to go to that show. It's going to, and there's a Toronto date. So we'll drive to Toronto, and the fucking
We were
pandemic
supposed to be on
happened.
it. Yeah, we were supposed to be on that Toronto one. Yeah, I was in New York City that morning too, and I knew that was happening.
Wow.
Obviously, because we have the same manager, and
Sure.
for a long time, our manager would like be in the van with us, on phone calls with, the Crows, and knowing
Yeah.
this reunion was happening. So we kind of were privy to it pretty early, and I was as excited as anybody that was happening, and then to obviously like be going on tour with them was even more surreal. But I was just happy, I was going to get to see the Black Crowes, and I actually went and saw them play. It was that night they played at the
they did
Bowery
Ballroom. Yep.
So I went to that show and got to hang with them for a bit, and it was that was the night Chris was like, "Are you ready to do some shows with us, man?" And I was like,
were you what? was the little kid in you just freaking the fuck out, or what?
It was mostly because I had a buddy with me, and we went to the bar before the show, and it was maybe like, I don't know, an hour before showtime. And usually, like for me at least, I'm like warming up.
Yeah.
Having a shot of tequila, just getting in the zone, whatever. And Chris is still at the hotel bar, like just having a drink in full stage clothes.
Yeah.
And I just happened upon him and my manager chilling there, and they're like, "Come have a drink with us." We'll walk over. And I was like, "What the fuck, man? This is crazy." But he just was, he had the hat on. He had like a full like velvet suit and just full on rock star vibes. And I was like, damn, that is a rock star right there. A real one,
part of comes by it honestly, and influenced by the last generation of real rock stars. So
for sure
they were that band, man, in the 90s, late 80s and early 90s. And I remember the first wave of that because I was I'm of that age.
Yeah,
that was special, man. They came out of nowhere, and nobody sounded like, no one was doing what they were doing at the time. Nobody.
Yeah. Yep. They were a real rock and roll band with the like blues thing, man. And it's something that just never gets old. So yeah, that was a really special night for me personally, no doubt. Cause I was on tour while that was happening. And my manager was like, obviously he's like, yeah, if you want to go, obviously like feel free to come. But I had one day off, and I think I flew from Colorado to New York to go back to Sacramento the next day. And I went specifically for that show, and it was worth every minute.
I was gonna say it was probably worth all the pain,
totally.
Right.
Totally.
All right. Well, let's set this up because we just started chatting out of nowhere.
I hope you recorded that. Fuck. Sorry.
I have everything recorded. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Hey, Mark, thanks so much for taking the time to chat. You're on the podcast today, but I also work at Showman Montreal. We've been supporting the band for a long, long time. I was looking at all the singles, The Wire, California Dreamin', Rolling Sevens, Another Last Time. We've played all of them. So it's crazy. You. Yeah. But thank you, because the music speaks for itself. There's not a lot of rock bands out there that can put out song after song and get radio play. There's a lot of bands that'll come, they'll do a couple of songs, maybe one won't hit, but you guys, when there's a Dirty Honey song, it's added. And that speaks volumes, because there's not a lot of bands that can do that anymore. So kudos to you guys for writing good songs. But how have you guys managed to find yourselves such a good spot to be in the zone when it comes to writing? I mean, is there something that's going on in terms of who you're writing with, internally, externally? Like, you guys seem to have, I don't want to say a formula because it sounds like such a horrendous word, but you guys have kind of found that sweet spot.
Yeah, and I think it's just what's authentic to us and what comes naturally. I think for a long time we fought that urge to be the like rock and roll blues influenced band of today, because I think initially when you do that, and it doesn't come easy to us. I can't say it comes easy, but it's what we like.
Yeah.
So, I think there's a little bit of a trap that you can fall into where you ask yourself, why do I like this? Is it too derivative? Is it too reminiscent of one thing? And, after a lot of the stuff came out and people were comparing it to so many artists, we were kind of like, okay, maybe we've got our own thing happening here. And the realization we came to is that, the four of us making anything doesn't sound like any one particular artist. And that's really true of all the bands that we love. They're maybe derivative of like an older Black blues artist, or a band that preceded them, but because it's them, it's always just going to be them. And
of course,
every band that you love that really has their own identity has 4 or 5 musicians that are so essential to the sound of the group that it can't be recreated. So that's the Black Crowes, that's the Stones, that's AC/DC, Rage, Soundgarden. Like, they all have their own identity within this 2 guitar, drums, bass, or 4-piece band. And that's just, it's like pizza, they're all the same thing, but they're all
different. Exactly. That's actually a really good analogy, the pizza. I'm going to use that one.
So thanks. Yeah, but that's really where it comes from. It's that simple, honestly.
Yeah. And I think that, there's one thing to have great songs and there's one thing to have radio success, but the other part of it is being able to follow up live. And that's the other component that you guys have. You guys do follow up live. What went into honing those skills? I mean, was it all of you having experience outside? And then when you finally all met, it was, because a lot of times you'll get bands that meet up at a point in their lives where they've had other experience with other bands, like I've been in this project, but then you meet and it's just the right fit and everybody's kind of done their 10,000 hours individually. Yeah. Was it that kind of thing where you met and you had already kind of honed your chops?
I think it was that, and putting in the time together as well before anybody really saw us. We played a lot of bars and clubs around LA for a long time before anybody really noticed. And it was always funny. We would play like When I'm Gone, or an older song that comes to mind is a song called Where the Wind Blows. And they'd be kind of wedged between like a Zeppelin and an Aerosmith song at like a covers gig, and people would be like, "Oh, I'd love to hear some of your originals," and we would be like, "We just played them."
That was an original, which is a compliment.
It kind of is, but that was a big part of it. Playing all these bars and stuff, and really figuring out how to ride a wave with an audience really helped when you get onto a stage with Slash or Guns N' Roses or The Who, whatever. That definitely helps you to be ready for that moment. But there's definitely a maturation process you go through. And I went through it with that Black Crowes tour, man. Like, it was a total adjustment getting used to the size of an amphitheater stage versus a theater with Slash or another, any other artist. So it just, once you do it for a couple of years and you have those experiences, you can just, everywhere starts to feel a little bit like home up there.
Yeah. Where are you originally from?
Albany, New York. So not too far from you guys. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I know Albany well. It's funny when you move to Los Angeles, being someone who's done it, I moved to LA in 99, to do music. And it's crazy when you get there because you start playing these clubs, you play like at the time that Coconut Teaser was still open when we were there. So we played Coconut Teaser, we played the Whiskey, played the Roxy, played the Viper, played the Troubadour numerous times, which ended up becoming our favorite spot. But when you first walk into those rooms, when you first move there, it's crazy. Yeah. And there's this initiation process that happens to bands. And I want to know if you went through this, like, the first time you go into the Whiskey and then, and then you walk down the street and you go to the Rainbow. And at the time there would be Real from Cypress Hill that would be sitting outside on the porch smoking pot, and then Ron Jeremy would be there,
Ron Jeremy was still there up until a couple of years ago.
That's what I was going to say. And then if you were lucky enough, you would see Lemmy playing the Miss Pac-Man, the sit down one.
Yeah.
So there's all these crazy things that an outsider's point of view is like, that must have just blown you away. But when you're there, ground zero walking, it all just seems very natural. But when you arrive, what I've noticed is that when bands arrive there that are ready and that have a concrete plan, they get snatched up really, really quick. Mm-hmm. Was that kind of the plan? Like, is that kind of what happened to you guys once you got things together? Was it something that happened quick, or was it a bit of a process?
It actually, it did kind of happen pretty quick. It was a situation where John and Justin and I, we never really could find a good drummer that was up to our standard of musicianship, that wanted to be in an original band and take that leap of faith with four guys,
right?
With your life, it's so easy to just, if you're a really talented musician here, like, you can find work and make a living pretty easily with whatever artist being a sideman. And to Corey's credit, we did this shitty gig in Silver Lake outside of our buddy's weed shop, and we were literally just playing on a sidewalk, and I don't know, 75 people just stopped what they were doing and watched us for a little bit, play some original songs. And he just got up from the drum set and he was like, I want to be in this band. And we were like, okay, this is like obviously the next step. And I got some money together from working, and I put together some like live videos from Capitol Records, sent it to a couple people, and that really got like the business interested in the band. And once that heat started coming from the business side of things, that's when, like, bigger people started sniffing around. And, my manager was a hockey buddy.
Oh, nice.
For a long time, who I've been trying. I always knew he worked with the Black Crowes and AC/DC and Aerosmith and Guns N' Roses back in their heydays. And
but he played in your pickup hockey league.
Yep. And I always
skates,
knew,
or
like,
were you playing full skates, or were you playing?
Yeah. But yeah, he was somebody I always looked to as sort of a mentor, but somebody I always knew, like, this is the guy that's going to understand what we're doing very well. He loves and has worked with all of my favorite bands. And when the time came, it was just like the stars finally aligned, and he heard When I'm Gone, and he was like, that's a big song if we do this properly. So,
there were no board checks after that. Like, you didn't.
No. From his buddy. Yeah, for sure. And his daughter plays with us too. She's really a really good skater. We all still play. It's pretty fun.
That's the thing that a lot of people don't realize in California. When I lived there, my guitar player was and he still loves hockey. Mm-hmm. And being Canadians, there was a big group of Canadians.
So many of them here.
There's a big group of Canadians that would play hockey, and that would play in these beer leagues. And I remember my guitar player Kevin telling me one day that he was playing and Keanu was playing against him. Mm-hmm. And he went and did a face-off and looked at him, and I said, "You don't tell me what you did." He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "I had to." As soon as the puck dropped, I went, "Whoa." I go, "You are a fucking idiot." But the thing is, it was crazy.
I loved it.
He probably did. But what was nuts was that these guys all were just there to have fun. And that's the thing. And that's the magic thing that people don't understand. When you're in California, there's this magic that happens there that will only happen if you man up and you go there. And you put your money where your mouth is, and you do that trip. And that's why I've always had a lot of respect. When I heard the story of how this band got together, and I saw that there was there were people that joined in California, I got it, because it's a magical place where things really do happen, but you've got to be there to make them happen. So
and it's so funny. I had a deep appreciation for it. I was out to dinner in Italy, and I was alone, and I was talking to my waiter at the time, and he was like, "Where are you from?" And I said, I'm from New York, but I live in California. And he was just like, "Oh man, that's my dream." And he went off on this tangent. He was like, the American dream is still a very real thing for us Europeans. And I was like, without him knowing anything about me or who I was or what I do, I just kind of said, like, yeah, man, it really is. Like, if
Yeah.
you take that leap of faith, like it definitely can be. So, chase your dreams, man.
100%. And I'm always in awe of people being someone who did that and went and did it and achieved what I wanted to achieve. It's fun to see people do that, and that still are doing this to this day. There's, because nowadays you go, I'm cool where I am here and we can make things happen with the internet, but nothing's the same as being there.
No, and like the experiences I've had, even like before music was taking off and everything, there's so many stories.
Oh yeah, I mean,
too great.
Tell me some of the jobs that you did in LA before music took off, because I know that in California, you have the advantage of being American, so you were able to work. But when I moved there, it was all about valet parking because I was Canadian and I didn't have a work visa.
Nice. No, I was a location scout for the movies and TV shows. So I worked on Sons of Anarchy. I worked on an Al Pacino film. Worked on a show called New Girl, Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and these are a couple weeks here and there at a time. Sons of Anarchy was a particularly fun one for me because I loved the show so much. And then, man, I was like a weed trimmer during COVID. Waited tables.
Yeah.
Everything. I was an intern at a film company. That's really what I moved out here for, was to work in TV and film. And then my buddy from Albany who went to school for music at USC, he kind of pulled me aside like the second I got here, and he was like, I think you're a little crazy, man. You should be doing music.
Okay.
I was like, really? Okay. And he was like, just, with your hustle and your ability to grind, I think people would really gravitate towards your voice, honestly. Yeah. And there's not a lot of people out here doing what you can do. So you should give it a swing. And I did. And now he was a jazz musician, and now he's a doctor at Johns Hopkins. So it's we kind of went like that,
Yeah.
But he's a good dude and really got me started out here as a musician. So.
And it's crazy when you think, some of the people you guys have shared the stage with, it's who's who of rock and roll. What's been the biggest compliment that you've gotten? And I know you probably get a lot of people, you got a great voice, and you do. You have a really, really good voice. But what's been the compliment that you've gotten from maybe someone who you've looked up to that's just had you probably had to call home and tell someone about it? Like call your parents or call your sister or your best friend and go, and not that you want to brag about it, but it just made you go, holy fuck. Like what has been the one that comes to mind where you've been like, I can't believe someone just paid me that compliment?
Yeah, no, obviously like doing anything with Slash, and he's been super good to us. Even like just playing a gig with him for the first time was really special. But then, I sang with him on stage. We did Aerosmith and Zeppelin for this Gibson event. And getting that call from his manager, like, hey, like, Slash thought it might be cool if you want to do this gig with us. Are you up for it? Of course, obviously I'll do anything for the guy. And then later on, like we recorded a song together for this Leslie West tribute thing. And that's obviously a great vote of confidence. But just this past tour, Gary Clark Jr., he was the direct support, I guess, to Guns after us on the stadium tour. And he just came up to me like after the last gig, and he was like, I don't know how you do that, man. Like it's crazy. He's like, I just watched the whole show, like from up here. And he's like, you guys are a tough act to follow. And he's like, in particular though, like your voice, like, I don't know how you do that. It's not possible for me to do what you're doing. It's crazy.
And that's a huge compliment coming from him, because he's
amazing.
He's amazing. So
he's an amazing singer and player. And I always liked him. I especially loved that first record that he put out, and I was obsessed with it. And I got to tell him that, obviously, but he was great on the road with us, and we got to hang a bunch. But compliment coming from a musician of that. He's like a real musician.
Yeah, I know what you mean. There's those guys that are, I know what you mean, because there's those guys that are in bands, but then those guys like him that are just like they're in their own space.
Mm-hmm. He really is, and I can see it on stage. Like he's in his own groove, in his own world up there. And just killing it, singing. I was like, man, you're a fantastic singer, like really soulful R&B almost guy. And I really appreciated watching him every night too. So
the other guy that's kind of superhuman when he sings is Miles Kennedy. I mean,
oh my God. Yeah, totally.
Like it's just nuts. And another guy that's very humble. I mean, you'll talk to him about his voice and whatever, but the guy can just way.
Another amazing guitar player, by the way. Like I walked by his dressing room opening with Slash, and he's
That too, right? You know, it's like Justin from the Darkness too. Like, you know,
yeah,
another guy that can just sing and by the way, I can also shred. You know, so there's these guys that are just superhuman. In terms of, you know, you guys have accomplished a lot. You've gotten to play with a lot of people. Is there anything that you haven't done yet that you're saying like? And it's pretty tough, man. You've covered a lot of bases already. And like, I would imagine the only thing that, if a Zeppelin got back together, that would be something you'd obviously want to try to do. But what would be the band that you haven't played with yet? And maybe it would surprise people, but who would be the act that you want to play with that you haven't, that we can maybe help
there's
manifest?
3 of them that are definitely on my short list. And
right.
I told my European agent this a few weeks ago because he asked. But the first big one for me obviously would be Aerosmith. The second really big one, this is like 1A and 1B, would be AC/DC. Yeah. And obviously the Stones would be a dream come true. So those are like the 3 big check marks left for me in terms of opening.
And they're pretty, I can tell you the Stones is not out of your reach, because the Stones,
not at all. I mean, they
fuck with new bands all the time.
I mean, well, they can because they're so successful that they,
and I think
they want.
I think they like bringing the next generation of rockers out. Cause I know, I think it was, I can't remember. There was a band that just recently went on tour with them.
Aaron Jones just did it.
Yeah. Aaron Jones did it. I don't know the names escaping me, but they're a band out of Kingston, Ontario.
Oh, Glorious Sons.
Glorious Sons just did it.
Yeah. Great guys. Love those guys.
Great guys. And I was like, man, you opened for the fucking Stones.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy. So it's going to happen to you. That I'm going to tell you that right now.
We'll see. Well, they gotta last, you know, same with Aaron. They're going to outlast. They're all
going to outlast all of us.
I know. Yeah. The Glorious Sons, though, that's a great band, man. We got to hang with them in, we played before we went to Europe. We played Shaky Knees and another festival with them, and I just fell in love with these guys, man. And we got to go out and have some beers and just fucking good dudes.
Fun guys.
Love those guys.
Yeah, Canadian.
Great stories, man. They're great cats.
So, what's next for you guys? What's on the horizon? Because I know when we got on here, you mentioned that you were, you're here, you're home for a little bit, but then you were going back out. But what's the next 6 months look like for Dirty Honey?
Next 6 months? Well, I think the next 2 are going to be a tour. We're going up to Canada, obviously, for the first time. Yep. We're touring. Obviously, it's like all of North America again. So that's going to be big with Dorothy. And I don't think Dorothy's on the Canadian dates, but another band out of Detroit is with us called Max Saturn. And they're like a rock meets Motown sort of vibe. Yeah. I like to say if all their music centered around one song, it would kind of be centered around Miss You by the Stones.
Okay.
It's very like fun, like rock, but it's not like heavy. It's more of that like fun, up tempo sort of stuff. So they're really cool. Great band. But then, I think we need to, obviously we've got a ton of material we've been working on. And I think we're going to do another writing retreat. We went out to Joshua Tree before the Wolfgang tour and did a whole like mobile recording studio setup and recorded a bunch of new ideas. And we got to get into the studio and work on a new record and, bring some more rock and roll to the people. So that's going to definitely take a couple months. I think we want to take a step back this time and really use the studio as like a songwriting tool and, really get it dialed in. Because the last 2 that we did they weren't rushed, but time was definitely bearing down on us. And I think we'd like to take a step back and
a bit of time to actually process.
Yeah. Like listen to it. Like, okay, like could we EQ something a little better? Does this have the right feel or, and I really enjoy the process of being able to write something and then play it live for a little bit first before you record it, because it really can find a new life in that space. And you get to see if the audience actually even likes it in a genuine, like very fresh way. And that's what we did with The Wire, Take My Hand, a couple other tunes. When I'm Gone was that way. Rolling Sevens was that way. We got to play those first before ever recording them,
which is a great, if you can do that, it's great.
It's a blessing because John, especially, everybody can find little nuances that, really speak to them and work, both in a live setting, and then you can put it on the record that way, and it gives it a little more life.
So my prediction, you're not going to get any of that time. You're going to be rushed because the Stones are going to call you out for 6 months, and you're going to just have to put your backs up against the wall. And you're going
Fortunately, I don't think they've had
best.
anybody out for 6 months, but you never know.
But I think whatever is going to be thrown in your direction, you guys will handle it, and you'll come out on top. And that just seems to be where this band is at. I mean, you guys seem to have a great stride going, and I'm excited to see the future of it. And I'm really glad you're coming to Canada finally, because it's been a while. It's been a while. People have been wanting you to come, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to be able to see this band live. And just, everything I've seen has been footage, and I've watched a lot of it. And there's a certain amount you can get from YouTube, and a lot you can, but being in a room with somebody and hearing something as a whole, it's different. It's different.
We had that one in Toronto with Wolfgang that was a really, really great show. It like far exceeded our expectations, because we went to Toronto with Alter Bridge and Slash, and we were definitely very new on the bill, and people weren't familiar with us, and we were kind of like, okay, like I don't know how well this is going. And then to go back with your own show and a packed, sold out house of, I don't know, it's like maybe 1,000 or 1,200 people. It was like one of the best shows of the tour. So they like totally took us by surprise and blew us away, because we had some expectations that were maybe wrongfully put on them. And it was a great show. And a famous radio DJ was there from Toronto who came up to me after the show, and he was like, dude, I've seen you guys. He lived in LA for a long time, and he was like, I've seen you a lot, and that was your best show that I've ever seen by far. So it's totally that thing, man. You're as good as what the crowd is giving you. So, you feed off it.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you live. I'm really, really happy we got a chance to chat today. Enjoy your small amount of downtime.
Window. Yeah.
and dude, man, just keep kicking ass. It's great to see. And I love the success of someone that, rolls the dice and puts their money where their mouth is and goes somewhere to make it, because that's the stuff that comes across in the music.
I appreciate it. Yeah. It's all about taking risks in life, and you're only here once, and you better make the most of it. So, I'm definitely living that ideology. So it's going to be a good time.
Yeah. Cool, man. Thanks for taking the time.
No worries, man. Good seeing you.
Yeah, really rad dude, man. And, confident, but at the same time humble and aware that it's kind of like he's great at what he's doing, but he's very aware that there's still there's still a road to go. And I like that, you know. I look forward to seeing the rest of his career, And
I loved his stories about the Black Crowes and about Chris Robinson and stuff, and I just think it's really cool that the band's done so well for where they're at, and I think the road for them is just going to continue up, 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 up. So it's always fun when we have those kind of bands on the show, and we get to talk to interesting people that are out there living their dream and pursuing their passions, and it's a beautiful thing. So we got a lot of great stuff coming this fall, Ryan. We got a lot more guests. I can't wait to announce. I mean, we've got the lead singer of Simple Minds, Jim Kerr, coming up in the next few weeks. We talked to Glass Tiger. We talked to Doug Pinnick from King's X, and next week on the show, though, we have got some really interesting dudes. I don't want to give that away, but let's just say this guy has been on the same stage as John Bon Jovi. And I'm not telling you more than that. So you're going to have to wait till next week for that. Big thanks to our sponsor, Heartbeat Hot Sauce. Check them out if you want to order from Heartbeat Hot Sauce. They are wonderful. Great small batch fermenter hot sauce company out of Thunder Bay, Ontario. I think you'll absolutely love this if you try it. And if you want to use my promo code Rockman20 right down here, it'll get you 20% off your entire order. A big thanks to Studio House Designs as well for always keeping us looking fresh. Go check them out, studiohousedesigns.com. And thanks to you, Ryan, my co-host, and thanks to our producer, Julia Kajerski, and to all of you. And also thanks to our guest, Marc Labelle from the band Dirty Honey. We'll see you next week on the Rockman Power Hour.